want to see what people on campus know about what goes on in the world, because I have the opinion that a lot of people aren't educated, and I'd like to be proven wrong.
Yeah. Right. Well, some people, a lot of people aren't. Actually.
Yeah,
I mean, I love like the Gallup poll. You do get on Gallup.com.
Yeah.
They poll people like 1 in 5 Americans believe Obama's a Muslim.
It's more than that. It's 48%.
48%?
It's that high now.
I'm pretty sure it was 20.
Oh, that he's not American?
Oh, no, he's a Muslim.
Oh, no, I think it's that high.
Really?
I think it's up something like that.
I'd have to check.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it's gone. I know it's gone up recently.
Yeah, it went up from like right after his election, it was like 12%, and I could have swore last time I checked it was like 18 or 20. Right. So 1 in 5.
It's gotten quite high. I know that.
But I mean, it's kind of an odd. It's kind of ridiculous.
I don't really understand why it's relevant, in all honesty.
Right, and I mean, it's like, well, because he comes out in support of the mosque, which is like, if you believe in private property rights, which the Republicans will say, oh, I believe in private property rights, and I believe in the Constitution, and
I believe in the First Amendment, things like
all
that.
these things, but oh, don't build that mosque 4 blocks from 3 blocks from
2. I think it's 2. And there's already a mosque 4 blocks from the World Trade Center.
4 blocks away.
So now they want to build one 2 blocks closer, and all of a sudden now it's an issue.
It's like and you know, I'm not saying it's in the greatest taste. It might not be the greatest.
But you can't say that they don't have the right.
They have the constitutional right, and if you're going to tout the Constitution, then you have to stand by private property rights and freedom of religion in this country. So.
We're starting to run a little low on battery, so we want to hurry this up.
Let's get moving here.
Yeah.
Should we extend the Bush tax cuts?
I've read a lot of mixed things about that. I would say no, but a lot, because if you're gonna worry about deficits and everything, we should really. Well, those aren't paid for. The Bush tax cuts aren't paid for, and they add to the deficit. And I know it sounds funny that a tax cut, well, that's just a tax break. That shouldn't add to any kind of, but it does. It actually does. And if you believe in trickle down, it sounds like a good theory, but
I don't think I've met anyone in the past 5 years that believes in trickle down economics.
I don't really think it. I don't think it helps. Like, I mean, it worked so great the first time that we ended up in an economic crisis.
Right.
So like. I'm not saying that's the only reason. I don't want to sound
There's a lot of things, but there's not really good evidence to show that trickle-down economics works.
In this kind of economic times, government spending. I know we need to. We got to worry about the deficit, even though like Ronald Reagan tripled the deficit and Bush doubled it. But you know, we got to worry about deficits. But right now, it's time to pump some money into the system. That's what the stimulus package did. And by taxing. By a progressive tax that taxes the rich heavier than it does the poor, because you can't take money from people who don't have money. There's no, you can't take, like a 10% tax on a working class family is a whole lot more significant than a 10% tax on the higher ups, the top 1%. So you need to put them in a tax bracket where they're paying a lot more. And our taxes are actually lower than almost any country in Europe. Like, and I mean, I'm not saying we have to be like Europe, but it does make sense. They care more about their social programs. They care more about their poor, and they have less violence for it. They have less violence, less drugs, less problems like that. And the disparity between the rich and the poor. I mean, I'm not a spread the welfare, but yeah, I know. I'm babbling. We got to keep your batteries dying.
Okay. What do you think about the whole situation in the Middle East? We've been moving combat troops. We finally got them all out of. It's Iraq, isn't it? We have them all out of, and most of them are out of Afghanistan.
Just on, I forget what was it, Monday? I think it was Monday. He announced that we're out of, or Tuesday. Tuesday he announced we're fully out of Iraq, which is wonderful, because we probably shouldn't have been there in the first place.
But do you think the region is stable enough for us to leave? I know a lot of people have said it's about time we've left, but is the area actually ready for us to leave?
The area, I don't have I know a few people in the military, but I don't know exactly what the area is like. You know, I've never been over there. I don't know exactly what we would consider stable. Honestly, my personal opinion, not the Democratic Party's opinion, but my personal opinion would be that it will never be stable. I mean, those people have been fighting forever, and the only reason Afghanistan and Iraq and all these countries in the Middle East are even different countries is because after World War II, the English drew a line and said, this is what this is and this is what that is. So really, they don't mean anything. It's hard. You can't turn a failed nation state into a democracy like that. Like, bringing stability to a failed nation state that has totally broken down.
And it's not as even we can do it from the outside. It's something that has to take fruition from inside the system.
And it has to go through a process. It has to go through a process where like you're a least developed or a lesser developed country, and then you work your way up to a democratic society. The first thing you got to do is educate the people. If they all know how to read, then the more highly educated countries tend to be more democratic. So.
What do you think about the Prop 8 situation in California? It's been overruled. Is that a good thing, first of all? Is it a positive step for gay rights in the country?
It's definitely the right move. I know people have been saying, like, the judge, he's a gay judge, and that's why it got overturned. But would a straight judge have been subjective or objective? What do it's like, what does it matter what the sex of the sexual orientation of the judge is? Thanks. But I do think it's a step in the right direction, and if it holds up on the major Supreme Court, it'll end up that gays can have civil unions or legally get married in all of the countries. In the end, the progressives win. That's how it works. Like, I'm not talking Democrat or Republican, I'm talking progressive. In the end, the progressives win because, look, civil rights, women's rights, workers' rights, all these progressive movements, in the end, they win.
It took a lot of work, there was a lot of toil, but in the end they got what they deserved.
Right, it's a slow process, but in 30 years, my children will look at me and go, why was it such a big deal that gays were getting married? And that's the truth. That's it. In the end, the progressives win.
Do you know anything about the Glenn Beck rally that was this past weekend in D.C.? Okay, you're the first person we've talked to that knows anything about it, first of all. And you're a Democrat, so kudos to you for researching the enemy.
I like to watch him because he keeps me up at night.
I think he's a comedian.
I work out to Glenn Beck.
Yeah, he gets me really mad. Like, I'm going to pull out all my hair.
Definitely. But, what did you think of his rally? Because admittedly, I didn't see it. I don't know a lot about it, so I'd like to know more.
Now, there was a lot of stuff saying that it's going to be a lot of racist people getting together. I'm not so sure that everybody at that rally was racist. I would not put it that way. He brings a very white crowd, and he changes history. That's my problem. He's totally revisionist. Like, he's writing. They stand up there and they talk about Martin Luther King Jr., but I don't, and he talks about the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers. He talks about them like they never fought. Like, the Founding Fathers knew everything and they knew exactly how things needed to be. That's simplistic. That's too simplistic. I don't think he's meaning to incite violence. I don't think he's particularly...
But at the same time, it's reasonable to say he's not as careful about what he says as he should be.
He certainly isn't. No, I mean, when you accuse the president of being a racist who hates white people, and you say it on national television, you're definitely not being careful about what you're saying. And he tries. I mean, every time I turn him on, he tries to paint the progressives as we're the racist ones. And I know people who completely buy into it. And I mean, like, he says things, I think, to get a rise out of people. I mean, he is a comedian. He's a former comedian, and
also
and a former alcoholic. But I mean, not that he doesn't deserve a second chance. But it is notably that he hasn't always made the best decisions in his life. I like Keith Olbermann. I don't take all my information from Keith Olbermann, though. He's a former sportscaster. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But a lot of people turn on Glenn Beck and they just buy every word he says. Oh, the unions, they've destroyed this country. Less than 10% of our country is unionized. How are they destroying the country? I mean, like, you can't get into it. You can't form a union. It's just ridiculous. Well, you can. They're gonna do one on campus, but I definitely disagree with him on a lot of points, but I don't think he's trying to incite any violence. I do think he's found a niche and he's found an audience, and they're going to listen to him, they're going to buy his books, and he's going to make a lot of money protecting the rich.
If you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
Oh, of course.
Thanks. And I think, so thank you for this. I think you've given us more than anyone else here has, and we really appreciate it.
I'm glad I could answer. I mean, I should be able to answer the questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I gotta find someone else in a Rush shirt, and that's gonna be just a little break of like.